If you're sick of getting ghosted after you've presented to a customer or you've done your demo, then this video is for you. After coaching over 300 founders and scaling sales teams from 0 to 1.2 million pounds in a month, one thing to me has become crystal clear. The difference between people that can sell and that can't sell or struggle with it is that when they're doing the demo or proposal section of the sales process, they don't demo or present their solution. They demo or present their ability to solve the problems that the prospects have. And it's a completely different way of approaching it. It's not about getting onto a call and telling the prospect why your solution is great. Telling ain't selling. It's about demonstrating that the only path for the customer to get from where they are now to where they want to get to is by following your proven framework or using your product or service. In this video, I'm going to show you the 7 steps, which if you follow them, you will stop getting ghosted, you'll have much better presentations, and you'll see your close rate increase instantly just by applying these simple frameworks. Before we dive in, if you want access to my complete sales process, including how to structure your sales process, what channels to use, how to close prospects, then you've got access to it all for free in my school community. There's a link in this description. Click on that link, go through, and then you get access to all of the sales process, which is now generated over 185 million pounds in revenue. So let's dive in. Step 1, and this is absolutely fundamental. The key mindset shift is that you need to come away from thinking about demoing your product or presenting your product and start demoing your ability to solve the prospect's problems. Prospects don't care about what you do or who you've done it. The only thing they care about is if you can help them get what they want. And by demoing your ability to show them that, you'll have them much more engaged and they're much more likely to take action. The reason most people get this wrong is that they just turn up and they start telling all the stuff about what they do, or they'll demo all the different features about their product or service, and they'll just show them about everything that they do. Like, the prospect doesn't care. You're not going around taking them on a tour saying, this is what this does, this is what this does, this is what this does. We've all had those demos, and think about how you feel. You're bored. You want the demo to end. You're not engaged, sat on the edge of the seat. What you should be doing is saying, look, we understand that you have these problems, and that if you don't fix these problems, you're going to have these bigger problems. This session here is to demonstrate how we will help you solve those bigger problems without the thing that you don't like, and we'll do it better than any other option you've got on the table. Then at the end, we'll agree next steps. Does that sound okay? Yes. You're in control, and then you're saying, I'm not going to tell you about what we do, I'm going to show you how we can solve your problems. Instant shift makes the prospect much more engaged. Next stage is the preparation before the call, is where you gear the demo up and where you will win the demo. So when you've had your discovery, you should be identifying the top 3 things that the prospect wants to solve and the problems and the impact of those problems. So you should map out the big problems, you should map out the impact of those, and then you need to prepare your solution and map it out how you solve those problems. So you link your solution specifically to the ability to solve those 3 problems. So the golden rule is, if you are demoing features or demoing a product, then you don't talk about anything that doesn't impact their pain. That's it. And this will be really difficult. I'm going to repeat it. You do not talk about anything that doesn't specifically solve their pain point. All killer, no filler. You have to get rid of all of the other features that you would have shown them. You just want to make this about the 3 to 5 features that will demonstrate your ability to solve your prospect's pain. Next is take stock of any people who are on the call who haven't been there previously. The mistake a lot of people make is that they assume that the person on the call is going to have the same perspective as the other person that you've already spoken to, which is a surefire way to alienate some of your audience. Now, when you get someone else come and join in the call, you need to invite them into the conversation. So acknowledge that they're on the call, say thank you, good to see you, Mr. CFO. Align with them and bring them into the conversation. So based on our last call, CEO shared his vision for XYZ and said that there were challenges around ABC, but I'm conscious that you've probably got a different point of view. So I just want to invite your feedback on that and let me know where you are. Get their feedback and invite them into the conversation. And then you've got the ability later on in the demo to tie things back and bring them into the conversation as well. So, you know, when you were talking about this, Mr. CEO, yes. Okay, this is how our product or service solves that. And what you were mentioning, Mr. CFO, it will also be able to do that as well. So you're constantly bringing them into the conversation and acknowledging each of their point of views. Next is at the beginning of the demo, you want to make an upfront contract. And what I mean by this is you want to set clear expectations about what's going to happen over the call, what are you going to do, and then realistically what's going to happen at the end. This would sound something along the lines of, thanks for joining the call. Just to recap, last time we spoke, you mentioned these 3 things were challenges and it was costing you X, Y, Z. So confirm the pain and the impact of their pain. Then you're going to state the purpose. You're going to say, okay, so based on that, I am going to take the rest of this call and I'm going to show you specifically how our solution will help you get from current state to desired state and solve those 3 pain points. And then lastly, you want to set the outcome. So you're going to say at the end, if we've decided that this solves your problem and you can see, and we've not said no to each other, then the next steps will be X, Y, Z. Does that sound okay? And it sounds really simple, but making the prospect agree to what you're offering and then walking them through and saying, this is what's going to happen at the end. Is that okay? The power of consistency means that when they get to the end, as long as you've had a good demo, then the next steps will all be ready laid out. So you're not wondering about what next steps will be. Shall we book a call? Shall we not book a call? And it not going ahead. So you've got all the opportunity to make sure that you're driving that sale forward. Next is when you're actually demoing the product or the service, as you go through, you need to follow this route. First is you say, okay, you know that you're saying about this pain, X, Y, Z. Yes. Okay, this is how this particular feature solved that problem. Okay, go through there. So show the feature solving that pain point and then tie it into their world. So you're saying, for an example, you know what you're saying about X, Y, Z. Yes, this is how we do that. So you won't be able to do that anymore. You won't need to spend time, effort and resource doing that thing because our magic widget solves all that problems. Can you see how that would be different to what you're doing today? So don't ask any questions. You say you're getting validation. You say, can you see how that's different to what you're doing now? So it's pain. You told me about your team wasters X amount of time. Proof. Watch this. This is how we do it. And then tie it in. So say, so in your world, at the moment you're doing X, Y, Z, but can you see you won't have to do this anymore? Brilliant. And you go through this for each pain point that the customer has mentioned. And then next is you land the plane. So at the end, once you've demoed your ability to solve all these problems, the next thing is the second bookend. So we've started at the front. We want to close off and say, right, is there anything you saw today that you didn't think would work for your business? Brilliant. Then you say, is there anything you didn't see that's critical? No. So at the start, we agreed that if we solved this problem, we booked the next steps. And based on what you saw, do you think we solved it? Yes. Okay. Next step is X, Y, Z. You'll probably need to bring in X, Y, Z. I've got my calendar open. When is good for you? So you're making it very clear what's going to happen and then you get the next step booked in. And just a quick tip, I really like this way of framing the end thing. So given what we've gone through today, would it be appropriate to schedule a follow-up with the stakeholders you've just mentioned? So what you're doing is you're bringing in additional stakeholders and giving them the opportunity. Another way is saying, okay, given where we're at and the positive feedback, who else will likely want to be involved in this decision-making process? And shall we invite them to the next meeting? Just giving it a chance to bring out all the other stakeholders. And that's it, from demo to close in 4 weeks. So your demo is a confirmation event. You're demoing your ability to solve the problems that they solve. The prep is making sure that it's all killer and no filler. So you're only demoing the ability to solve the problems that you've previously identified. If you haven't discussed that specific problem and you haven't discussed a specific pain point, or if you want to demo a feature which doesn't solve a pain point, you can't. That's the rules. All killer, no filler. If the feature doesn't demonstrate the ability to solve a pain point you have talked about already, it doesn't get shown because you're guessing and you're using up your attention tokens. You've got limited amount of attention within a demo. You don't use that up guessing at features that might resonate. Start with an upfront contract, so making sure that you're setting expectations early. With the flow of the demo, you go from teach about the pain point and you're saying, given that you've talked about this pain point, this is how we show improve it? And then can you see how that's different to what you're doing today? So tying it back in, and then at the end, bam, bam, book a meeting from a meeting and making sure that the relevant stakeholders are involved. And that's it. So if you implement that, you will see your demo to close rate increase massively. Any questions, or let me know if there's anything you think I've missed in the comments. Remember, you can get access to all of my sales process for free in the school community, link in the bottom. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the other side.